Madam Chairperson, you are live.
Okay. Alrighty. Shall we start with roll call?
Yes. Crouch.
Present.
Houston. Quinn. Kroom.
Present.
Yonkis.
Present.
Kruger.
Here.
Muth. Walsh. I saw him. And Greg.
Here.
Madam Chairperson, you do have quorum.
Perfect.
To get Ray back on the line, so I will work on that.
Okay, do we have any changes to the agenda?
I do have one change. I would like to add an agenda item, 4.4. It will be consideration of a sponsorship of the Creative Placemaking Summit.
Alrighty.
And with that, I can do a roll call. Well, I'm sorry, I need
A motion.
Let me do your job. No, it's all you.
No, you're fine. I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
And I will do a roll call vote. Crouch.
Yes.
Kroom.
Yes.
Yonkis.
Yes.
Kruger.
Yeah.
Muth. I don't think he's on yet. Walsh. And Greg.
Yep.
The motion passes.
Perfect.
Sorry, Amy, I just joined. This is Justin.
Perfect. We are just approving the agenda. And I have an additional item to add, Justin, if you are okay with that.
That is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Sorry,
Excellent.
I was late.
That's no problem.
Okay, and moving on to 1.3, approval of September 1st meeting minutes.
Okay, before you are the meeting minutes from our September 25th meeting. We were just together, so it's good to see everybody again. Essentially, the main points were that we heard presentations from public relations firms. Obviously, you have selected to enter into a contract agreement with Piper & Gold. We are fully executing that contract agreement. I'm just waiting on the final signature of the city manager's office, but the city attorney has signed it, Piper & Gold has signed it, and all necessary others have signed it. So that should be completed by the end of the week. And Kate is joining us here from Piper & Gold today. So those are the main points of the minutes, but if anybody has any questions or changes, I'm happy to discuss those. Otherwise, it can be a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve. Seconded.
Excellent. And I will do a roll call vote. Crouch.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Kroom.
Yes.
Yonkis.
Yes.
Kruger.
Yep.
Walsh. I'm still working on Rand. And Greg.
Yes.
The motion
Perfect.
passes unanimously.
1.4.
Okay, in terms of your financial report, I kind of wanted to begin with the second page, as I often do. A lot of business as usual. We did have the direct work order salaries, which primarily supports the 2 internship positions. I know that you all met Gabby at our last meeting. I'm hoping that you can meet Marissa very soon, certainly at an upcoming subcommittee meeting. In terms of final expenditures, you know, the main thing to kind of point out is that we did finalize some flyers that went out there. in addition to the fact that we did do some downtown day expenditures for, I don't know if everybody's familiar, but September 26th was downtown day, so we did have some Facebook expenditures. Currently, we do have a pending contract agreement with Piper and Gold, but you are operating off of a budget of approximately $76,170, and you have encumbered a little over $5,000 and now, have approximately $15,000 committed in funds. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, we can move on. And I realize I just pulled up the September 25th agenda, which is why I was confused as to what I was looking at. Okay, can everybody see the October 6th agenda? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. No wonder I was confused. Sorry guys, I confused myself. So this is the True Treasures report. So like I said, the downtown day stuff, the mass required, and the professional group services agreement with Piper and Gold. Any questions? No? Okay. Then I think we can move on.
Perfect. So, consideration to limit public comment to 2 minutes per individual.
So we've all been very familiar with Zoom. As you're all aware, it is the city attorney's recommendation that for board and commission meetings, that there be a formal consideration to limit public comment to 2 minutes per individual. And that is really because we are on via Zoom, that we're trying to just, be conscientious of everyone's valuable time. So unless anyone has any questions, we could consider a motion.
A motion.
Seconded. Justin.
All right, and I will do a roll call vote. Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Yonkis,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Walsh. I'm still working on Walsh, and Greg.
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Perfect.
Motion passed.
So moving on to public comment. Each caller, I think we have somebody, correct? There's one person.
We do. I see, actually though, I'm going to promote her. I believe that it's Gabby, our intern. So I think we might be all set, but you can formally open and close it if you'd like.
Okay. Public comment is open. Each caller will have 2 minutes to address the board. Callers will be identified by the last 3 digits of their phone number. When called on, you will be unmuted at the end of the 2 minutes. The secretary will share that 2 minutes has passed and they will be placed back on mute. If you do not wish to speak, please indicate so by saying pass. Not a requirement, but it helps if you choose to state your name and business affiliation when addressing the board. But I don't think we have any, correct?
Don't believe so, but you can certainly open it, ask if you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anybody? Yeah. It's open.
Seeing none, we can close it.
Alrighty. Public comment is over. And we can move on to financial reports, the treasurer's report.
Yes,
for
so
September.
I think that I jumped the gun, I apologize. So we already really pretty much discussed the treasurer's report. I think we can just move on to discussion with Kate.
Okay. Perfect. 4.1 downtown campaign discussion with Piper and Gold.
Okay, so Kate Snyder is joining us. I'm going to hand over the reins to her and stop sharing my screen. And Kate is really here to discuss kind of what some concepts that they have kind of ideated out and share with all of you what they're kind of thinking for future progress. So I'm going to hand it right over to Kate.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. I'm gonna share a couple of things with you here to just chat through. So. Okay, if I could just get a confirmation that you can see and hear, that'd be fab. Great, thank you. So thank you again for the opportunity to work on this project and for the great dialogue last time too. It was very, honestly, it was very, I guess the word would be reassuring, just to hear how seriously everyone is taking safety. And that's very much in kind of values alignment with where we were hoping to see the direction of this go and find that balance between how do we help keep the downtown businesses safe from a health standpoint, but then also how do we help keep you safe fiscally and financially. So as a follow-up to our conversation at the last meeting, we wanted to just talk a little bit more and get a little bit additional insight from you about some of your priorities and some of the messaging direction that we had in mind, as well as just share with you a little bit about the timeline that we have in mind and some of the more process-oriented elements. So based on what we heard last time, our thought is that we're really going to focus on the existing partnership between the university and the city and building off of that, but modifying as needed to resonate with our two target audiences, which are sort of the students or young professionals that right now our sort of anecdotal data and observations are telling us are primarily those who are visiting downtown East Lansing right now, and then the residents / visitors 25 plus audience. And this is kind of our first topic area because from this standpoint, there's a lot here even just to break down. But we want to center the messaging around this existing notion within the materials of like a sense of responsibility. And the last time we talked about the utilization of a research concept that's called functional fear. And I hate having to say that. I hate having to use the words functional fear. But what we're seeing is that existing social responsibility messaging is not necessarily working, and that we're not necessarily seeing the evidence of it giving us the results that we all want to see for downtown East Lansing, which is that balance of health safety and financial safety. So building off of the campaign, but figuring out ways that we can connect and resonate with each of the different audiences. And so with that student and young professional audience, we really want to focus on how their behaviors, what the consequences of those behaviors are, as well as on the positive side, what compliance with the recommended behaviors will give them, right? So we want to emphasize what they stand to lose, that's the functional fear part, and what they stand to gain. And as a couple of folks pointed out last time, the health messaging is not really resonating. And so thinking more instead about nostalgia, traditions, their favorite places, the way of life that they so desperately want to have back. When it comes to the residents and visitors 25 plus audience, this is where I heard a little bit more discrepancy in terms of from a business standpoint, is this audience a target for you? Is there interest in connecting with this audience and sort of like which subsets, right? 25 plus, that's a big audience. And within that, you have tons of different demographic breakdowns, right? And so I'd love to just hear a little bit from you as it relates to this residents, visitors audience, what you would like to see as an end result. Thinking back to the last conversation about, is it driving e-commerce among this audience? Is it driving, curbside pickups or takeout orders among this audience? Is it driving foot traffic? And sort of within this audience, who is your biggest or best either like supplement to the student audiences, or for those of you for whom students are not a primary target, your actual target audiences. I would just love to listen a little bit and hear a little bit more as it relates to this particular target audience and kind of how that fits in for you. So talk to me a little bit so that we can help come up with some good solutions in this regard.
So yeah, so we did have a wide-ranging discussion, and it is a large age group, 25 plus. One of the thoughts that came out, and a very good intro, you really covered it succinctly. One of the things that I thought came up was this loyalty concept. I mean, you could call it nostalgia or whatever for the under 25, but loyalty concept where we just try and convince our residents, first of all, as a first concentric circle, I guess, convince residents of some of the things you're saying, that it is safe, that the students are becoming aware. And for that, I thought there was some good news out of the health department, but it would just be grabbing whatever itty bitty piece of good news there is and putting it out there, not misleading anybody. It's certainly still COVID times, but coupling, a good news story with the loyalty sort of heartstrings, we need you more than ever, and come on down. And then maybe we do it. There's your old friends are here, and then we can trumpet all the old businesses that you've been missing so much and who've been missing you. And then and here's the new businesses, and maybe that creates some excitement among the oldsters. I know I'm interested in coming and checking out the new places too, and getting them back into some of the old ones. Just need to somehow have the A-OK in my own mind that it works. So that's my start. I'll turn it over to the businesses because they're the real experts.
Yeah, thanks. Thoughts to build on that, sort of like residents as the initial concentric circle. Is that consistent with your target audience? How does that fit in with what you need?
I'm not a business owner, but I guess I would say, just building on Jim's points. I mean, I also agree that I think we all would like to see in years prior, regardless of COVID, have always wanted to get our residents, our visitors 25 plus increasing. I think that's a large target market for many of the businesses downtown, like the professional services businesses or, some of the retail. There's definitely a large concentration of retail or even restaurants and bars that are more focused towards students and young professionals. Students are a big piece of it. I don't know how much marketing we need to push for students to come downtown at this point. I don't know that that's really something that, the marketing dollars are going to impact much. I think that they're either going to come down or they're not. And I think that they are less swayed by maybe the social norms of, COVID and maybe the practices there. So if anything, I think communication, from what I can tell, from what we've discussed, is really, trying to appeal to the residents that are going to be here 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years, 10 years from now, and want to see the same businesses that they go to, same restaurants they go to, and, see them 10 years from now versus, a student who may move to New York and they're like, well, I don't really care, it's kind of my town for college, but maybe I'm going to grow out of it. They don't have the same nostalgic feel that I think, I grew up in the area that I do towards, some of the restaurants and some of the businesses that, we've already seen go out that I prefer not to. So I think, that'd be my preference, is to communicate more to them about the safety protocols that we have downtown, the businesses we have. I do love Jim's idea about sort of sharing, visit some old friends, make some new ones. We have new businesses, we have old businesses, there's still a lot to see and learn. So I like that idea. And I think it can be done in a way that's framed in the COVID security, how are we protecting the people? I think that's something we can do too. So that's kind of where I would see it going. But I agree that the businesses probably will have a perspective that it's very key right now. So.
And are we just, Kate, on the 25 plus now? Because I know there's a separate view on the under 25.
In terms of
this discussion, or are we covering both?
We can cover both. Sure, absolutely. So other thoughts as it relates to from an audience perspective, essentially what you need. We know that one of the things we heard and one of the sort of key cornerstones, we've got some additional messaging that we'll talk about in a moment, is for the under 25 crowd that is already coming downtown. It's, I think as Justin said, it's less about getting them to come downtown and more about ensuring that when they do, they're following the ordinances that are in place, and they are essentially their behavior isn't driving away other potential visitors, to put that bluntly, and also that is maintaining safety and ensuring that there's not spread. So so we've kind of got that element of the student audience and the young professional audience captured. But I just love to hear, from the business perspective, from an audience specific standpoint, what are your goals? Like who do you need to have reached, and what would you like the end result of that connection to be, whether that is you want them to wear a mask, or whether that is you want them to go online and shop, like you want them to come in. What is it that you need from the different audiences, and who are the most important for you?
I can chime in with a few observations. I don't want to dominate the discussion because my customer cross-section is really different than most businesses downtown. So we have myself and my neighbor have a pretty destination-based crowd with the textile people, which is really not, I mean, they do drink coffee and stuff when they're down here, and they grab lunch, which we encourage. But I think one of the things that I'm having a difficult time communicating to my customers is that we do have a lot of new safety protocols in place. So both Meg and I limit our customers in the store to 2 at a time, which is, when you get a group of 3 friends that all want to shop together, that's hard, but just we've set that limit because that's what we're comfortable with. And then, obviously we expect people to wear masks. We're asking them not to touch things as much as they might otherwise do. We're asking them to hand sanitize. So there's kind of, it's an awkward situation to be in as a retailer because we're used to being as welcoming as possible. We kind of generally really try to accommodate our customer in every way possible. And now we're in a situation that we're asking our customer to accommodate us in a way that we've never had to before. And I think so far I have not received a lot of negative backlash, which I know that we are unique in that we don't have the protesters that other businesses are drawing. But it's a hard message, and it's a hard line to walk as a retailer, to say to your customers, yes, we want you, we miss you, we welcome you into the store, but also please do all of these things that you've never had to do before to shop with us. So, and then once people come in and they see that we're, doing all of these things to keep them safe, then we do have people that are much more comfortable coming in the next time. But it's awkward that first time when people come in and they have to follow a protocol that they've never followed before. So just like brainstorming how to communicate that to people, how to say, welcome and please come and come back, but also come in small groups and don't touch things and wash your hands, right? So it's like, it feels awkward to try to have to send both of those messages at the same time. So that's something that I personally would appreciate a little bit of assistance with.
Yeah, that's a really thought-provoking perspective of how do you balance the things you're asking people to do with wanting to feel welcoming and build community, but not too much and all of those elements so that are key to traditional retail. Okay, that's great. I made a couple of different notes about that and some of the things that maybe we can do as we're talking about and highlighting different businesses. I think like gratitude and grace are two of the things that, like, this is like way more touchy-feely for those of you that I've had a chance to work with in the past. Like, you know, things like gratitude and grace, they're not really the words that come out of my mouth usually, but I feel like those kind of concepts could really help a lot in this regard of, you know, and it goes back to that loyalty and that nostalgia factor too. Like, at this point, it's about support. Like, we appreciate your support. We thank you for that. And then I think maybe some testimonial aspects could help too, that what you mentioned of like that first time you feel really weird and really uncomfortable. But if someone you trust says, yeah, I felt really weird and a little uncomfortable, but then the next time, you know, but then I saw for myself and I felt more comfortable the next time, that might help encourage, depending on what the goals are. You know, Tom last time brought up, and honestly, I really think can and should be a big part of what we work in, is that, like, should our goal be to drive people into downtown East Lansing right now? And so I think that as much as we can also emphasize other ways that people can financially support, whether that is purchasing gift cards, whether that is those that have online options, you know, curbside pickup, takeout, you know, what are the ways from your perspective that that's going to be beneficial to you and that you're still going to be able to still going to be able to survive while balancing the safety of your employees and your customers. So I think that that's just it's all about balance right now. But those are some of the things that we've been mulling about. Ray, I noticed you unmuted yourself. Did you want to add something? Haha, JK. Okay. So I've gotten a little insight into audiences. If you want to add more, if you want to send me even like, this is specifically who we want to connect with, we'd love that. Happy to have that detailed of information and to be able to work that into. If for you it is a student audience and foot traffic is really important, you know, certainly please help us to understand and know that. So we're gonna move on a little bit and talk about so some of the things that we heard when we listened last time around as priorities just in life right now are staff safety, customer safety, any of like the ordinance compliance, so that people feel safe, brick and mortar traffic, and then these alternative revenue sources. So that's, you know, those of you who have introduced new ways of doing business and innovated the way that you're doing things, how we can help promote and support those alternative revenue sources. Are there other things that we're missing from a priority standpoint for you? And ultimately, these are the things that at the end of the day, we want to make sure are impacted. We want to make sure that staff are safe, customers are safe, people are complying from the city's standpoint, right? That brick and mortar is getting the traffic it needs, and that those who have alternative revenue opportunities are getting those. Other things that we want to make sure are incorporated as a part of these priorities are other things that you want me to understand about these priorities as we're developing messaging and materials to work toward these.
I think that you talked a little bit about it previously, and I think Jesse touched on it as well, but making sure that the people who are following the ordinances and doing things the right way, making sure that it's known that we appreciate them doing that, and just kind of keeping that as sort of an underlying theme, you know, when doing social posts and that sort of thing. Just, you know, we want to encourage the good behavior by letting them know that we appreciate the good behavior. Good thought anyway.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I love the, you know, the reinforcement, and I think right now just the saying thank you. and showing people that how important all of this is to each of you, is people need to get it. People need to get how dire the situation is for many small businesses and how their actions are directly affecting you and your families and your staff and their families. And so I think that gratitude and that connection is something that we need to, those are the stories that I want us to be able to help tell, so that people get it. They get it. They need to understand. Other thoughts on the priorities? So let's talk.
I was going to say something. I just want to echo that sentiment from Mike. In my perspective on it, I think I totally understand the fear-based advertising and the kind of nostalgia, but I feel like also at the same time, we're now 7 months into this. There are many people that, I feel like the advertising has been somewhat fear-based, whether it's positively or negatively fear-based, for an extremely long period of time. And there is a large percentage of the population that is kind of tuning out to that type of messaging because they're like really over living in a negative space. Whether it's meant to be negative or not, it just feels negative to some people. And so to reinforce something positive, I think could make people in turn feel more comfortable and more wanting to participate in a city or community that feels happy and positive. I think that that's super important because I think we're kind of maybe negatived out for a long period of time. So that's just my kind of perception on advertising right now.
So
Yeah.
to pick up on that, did someone talk about sort of like testimonials or something like that? Would it be, Chanel, would it be something like a successful visit to Harper's and students really,
Well, we're closed, but
really, well, got it, but somewhere like a successful visit to downtown by a student that modeled good behavior and said it's still possible. It's possible once again to enjoy yourselves downtown. We just did it. And then maybe an Oldster story. Hey, I did this. I went to this new restaurant. You would be amazed by the safety protocols. We were so impressed, and we ate inside. And I don't know what form of media.
I definitely agree. I think that it needs to be a mix between, we need your support because some of us, like, for example, PTs, for example, has not been open a single day in 7 months. Harper's was open for a little bit. There are other businesses that are similar to that, mostly restaurants still at this point, or bars, I guess is a better way to describe them, that haven't even been able to open a day. So I think that we still need to harp on, like, this is your community, support us, we need your support, but maybe more in a positive way, like by using testimonials to say, we're really working hard and this is the proof in the pudding by all these people because we really need your business. So these customers mean so much to us kind of way.
It's almost like balancing this, like East Lansing depends on us and like East Lansing appreciates you. Like this sort of this, they're both saying they're both working toward that same goal, but there's the balance of the need, and then also the expression of the appreciation and the positive and that aspect.
And also, I think with the students, if we were to, and I kind of briefly mentioned this in the last meeting, in my personal view of the way that the students anecdotally are feeling about this, they're over changing their lifestyle for this in a way that is based upon fear or negativity or people telling them they have to do something or else. They aren't going to respond to it. It's just not going to change. Like what we're having right now directly from the health department. I've also heard anecdotally from customers of ours that we've talked to, they're not getting tested because they don't want things to happen, because they don't want to get in more trouble. So it's not that they're altering their behavior in terms of socialization, they're just altering their behavior and how they're going to get caught. And so I would say that maybe a new marketing tactic towards them that hasn't necessarily been used is that sort of testimonial of like, these are students that are doing things and they're still having fun and they still can see some of their friends and they're still being able to go do these things. So their life isn't totally done, but they're doing it in a way that's responsible, that kind of forces reciprocity, right? When you buy because other people buy, you act because other people are acting. So to kind of highlight examples of people, and I don't want to use examples of people that like aren't doing anything, like use examples of people that are going to restaurants, participating appropriately the way they should be, and them saying, and I still get to see my friends, but I am doing it in a responsible way that promotes these businesses, that allows these businesses to keep it, you know, staying open, things like that, versus the sort of, if you don't, because they're just going to find another way to do it.
So I jumped over the timeline. We'll come back to this because I think this lends itself nicely to some of the initial thoughts that we had as a result of the dialogue at the last meeting, which is that for the student and young professional audience, we need to continue to educate about the safety requirements. But it is this fear-based versus benefit-based balance of like focusing on what they'll lose if they don't adhere, but then also on what we strive to protect based on like the personal and tangible impacts on, as we put it, those for whom health is not a motivator. So like, it's not the health impacts that are going to change their behaviors. It's the impact on favorite traditions. It's the impact on the idealized college experience. It's the impact, as you put it, on their lifestyle, and showing the consequences, but then also showing on that, like that positive side of how to protect that lifestyle, how to ensure that they're able to still have these favorite traditions, still have their favorite bars and restaurants, still have an idealized college experience, whether that's right now, if there are safe ways to do so, or whether that's essentially like what we do right now to be able to have that next fall. So that's kind of what we're thinking for on the student side of things. One of the things we do want to do is engage student voices and make sure that we're hearing directly from students in reaction to that, as we get a little bit more, right? Obviously, this language is not gonna resonate as marketing language, but make sure that we're vetting this information through students and getting their feedback on it. And then on the resident and visitor 25 plus side, there's definitely some things I heard today that I really think would be beneficial to work in. As we talked about last time, the demographic profile of the East Lansing area residents, East Lansing, Okemos, Lansing and the surrounding region, so over the age of 25 suggests a high approval for universal masking. And so reinforcing the safety protocols, communicating about the safety protocols that are in place, but then also providing options for those that don't feel it's safe, and also to support those business owners that don't want to see additional individuals driven in from a foot traffic standpoint. And then residents, visitors, 25 plus, also appealing to that sense of nostalgia and what they love about downtown East Lansing. So the fear-based really is more for students, but I hear you that we need to balance that. And it can't just be all fear because they're kind of sick of it. We're all sick of fear. And then for the residents and visitors, it really is more about appealing to what they love, appealing to that emotional connection, appealing to being able to support, and focusing on celebrating and highlighting the individual businesses and the actions that they're taking to create safe options. So whether that is safe options for visiting, whether that's e-commerce, whatever the different options are, highlighting those options and inspiring this sort of sense of like doing your part. I forget who said it at the last meeting, but someone made a comment of how like at the beginning we were so busy because everyone wanted to support local and everyone wanted to do their part. And now months later, you know, that has dissipated. And so how we reinvigorate that, particularly for the holiday season. Anything else that you want to add to that before we talk through the timeline and sort of kind of the how to actually do some of this stuff? Okay, so I'm going to pop back to the timeline here for you. And I think Amy shared this, or can share this. So this is just sort of timeline at a glance. And basically what we're looking at is using social media and digital media to communicate what people's options are, and then centering that around a series of what we call like rounds or flights. We typically call it like a flighting schedule of different media pushes. And so the first thing that we had talked about, and we've already started to talk to the city staff about how best to accomplish this, is like gathering that mask data by ambassadors and just aggregating into one place the safety measures that are in place, a combination of the safety measures implemented by the city, by the DDA, by the DMB, basically by all the different entities on the governance side, as well as gathering from the individual businesses what the different options are and how people can connect with you in the way that they feel most comfortable. And so getting that information, pulling it all together into one place, and using that information to basically create the actual language that we'll use, and work with the city and MSU to ensure that all of that is consistent with the existing campaign, but still meets the goals. And then after we're looking to the end of October to do that first round of media push right around Halloween. That's the one that's going to be a little ambiguous until we get a little bit more information and a little bit more of the data side of things to figure out what the specific focus of that one is. We do know that we want it to build off of some of the existing brand momentum, but it may focus on like individual businesses. It may be seasonal in nature, talking about Halloween. It may be like about innovations and individual businesses that have changed the way that they've done business. That's the one that we're going to need a little bit of flexibility for sort of that first push, just because we want it to be relatively soon. But we don't anticipate we'll have all of the safety stuff to really like push the safety message yet for that one. So round one is we'll get creative, but it's really about drawing positive attention to downtown East Lansing, options, and safety. That's all. That they all have that consistency across them. And then and then the social media language and posts will support that. And then we just go into a series of rounds of this. So the next round will be in early November. That's the one that's really going to talk about safety. So it's either going to talk about things are going really well from a safety standpoint. This is like what's been done. This is the evidence of it. This is the positive story. Or it's going to be, this is the stuff that we're implementing. This is how we're taking actions to make people safe if the data doesn't substantiate that it was in a good place before. So that's going to be round one in early November, because we want, as we get closer to mid-November, to be able to shift over to how to support businesses at the holidays, and how to help drive holiday traffic and holiday investments and commerce. So round three, that's where we're going to start to really get in on the residential aspects, the nostalgia, the businesses you love, and how you can support them this holiday season. Black Friday options and ways that people can continue to shop and shop local for the holidays without in different ways that that they're still comfortable with. Round 4 essentially builds off of this. It's just continuing this same kind of messaging of with the students, helping reinforce the behaviors that will allow others to feel safe, with the resident and surrounding community audiences, options, highlighting individual businesses and different ways that you can engage. And then the final one, or the final kind of round of media is going to be early December. And again, more individual business highlights, more of options, things like that. And social media throughout all of this will supplement the media relations as well as share any media coverage. So it'll be consistent with the media relations messaging, but it'll share the content and it'll share any coverage. So it's basically just a series of outreach points that will either share broad messaging or be individual, different targeted business profiles, story pitches, all those different things to help people see and experience and understand the need, and to hopefully motivate the different options so that we can see commerce go up, but in a controlled way that will continue to keep downtown East Lansing safe. So that's driving e-commerce, curbsides, and reserving the brick and mortar visits for those that really rely on those as their, kind of only source of revenue kind of thing. And just making sure that we're telling those stories of need, gratitude, innovation, and community. Questions I can answer for you?
You're impressive in the way you summarize. I love it. How do you typically weave in, I guess this board and the DDA are not typical East Lansing, but how do you weave in the economics, the financial aspects? So you just laid out your timeline. How do we weave in the cost options, number one, and then number two, what's your view on, should we capture some of what we're doing along the way, and so that potentially Amy or you or someone can present to funding sources like the DDA a month or 6 weeks down the road when we're going to need cash to do some of the options that you're going to propose? That's,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm rambling, but you get the gist.
No, I do. So I think tell me if I'm paraphrasing this correctly. When you're asking about kind of like the funding and the cost aspects, you mean for like the implementation and execution type side of these things, is that correct?
Yes, not strictly talking about you, but we're talking about the implementation. Yes.
Yeah, so the majority of this, because it's centered around earned media, is covered. So it's our time, and that's accounted for within the existing budget. It's actually one of the reasons that we kind of heavily pushed the notion of earned media over purchased media, just because with the budget, we felt like earned media could go a lot further. There is certainly.
So can I stop you there? So very good point. Very good point. And so maybe at some point when this Amy or Kate turns into a report somewhere, we can value that earned media.
Yes.
So put a tag on it, and so that our supporters know that we're being intelligent about this and wise with our finances. And look, we did this media strategy and here's the value of it, and it costs us nothing.
Yeah, we actually have some like media valuation formulas that we use that basically base it off of, if you were to purchase that, for a print publication, if you were to purchase that amount of space, how much would it have cost you? Or if you were to purchase that amount of impressions, how much would it cost you? So there's certainly there's certainly formulas and kind of like industry ways in which we use earned media metrics to demonstrate the value of it. And as you said, that's really beneficial for future funding and things like that, whether that's grant funding or, like you said, DDA or anything like that. But then there may be additional, especially after we get outside of the holiday season. So part of why we've really concentrated this between now and the end of the year is that people are already talking about shopping and dining. And while I recognize that not every downtown East Lansing business is retail or restaurant, when we did the survey, was it last year or the year before, like that is still that is a just big old chunk. So right now it will be a media topic between now and the holidays. And so it also just provides us more opportunities. But as we get into the new year and sort of start to close out this phase of things, like how to sustain that sense of community, how to sustain that sense of responsibility, how to motivate people to continue to come out, particularly non-student audiences, like that's going to get hard. And I know January, February, March are harsh in general for most, like basically anyone except for tax accountants. So that's where like an investment into paid media really may. I am not normally a big paid media proponent, but that's where some paid social, even billboards or outdoor, if you can get it funded and it's not having to be paid for by the businesses that are going to just be probably hurting from a below average holiday season and heading into what's probably their worst quarter of the year normally. Sorry to like be the voice of doom and make everyone terrified for first quarter, but I'm a small business owner too, right? Like we've been talking about first quarter since March of last year. So you know, the reality of first quarter, that's what a lot of this is like, trying to make sure that we can capitalize on opportunities in fourth quarter. But I do know that there's a need to look forward to first quarter. And yeah, that might be where, like, I know Tom had to hop off, but this notion of like crowdfunding, you know, people tend to just plain hole up in January and February anyway. And if we're seeing case spikes at that point in time, just because it's seasonal, y'all, we're gonna have to get really creative. So that might be a really great time to do a crowdfunding campaign that funds the like downtown East Lansing's business grants. So, you know, telling people, or, you know, doing a really, I think for the holidays, we can do a really strong push for gift cards and things like that, that people can buy online or people can call and have it mailed to them, all that kind of stuff. But that first quarter and looking around the turn, it's definitely something that I appreciate. Like we need to be cognizant of and just keep in mind that obviously people need a good fourth quarter, but they also need a good, or at least like and I don't know, good might be too much. They need to at least make it through first quarter. And so I think part of the impact and the results, if we can think of them from that standpoint and how they might drive additional support opportunities, whether that's grant opportunities, whether that's you know, even thinking about now you've got me thinking about things like how we might use some of these metrics to strengthen and support individual businesses, applications to some of the like small business granting sources that are out there right now. Like there are a lot of them out there for female small business owners, minority small business owners. There are like restaurant and specific ones. So thinking about, are there different metrics that we can be collecting as a part of this that would strengthen those cases too, so that if someone was asking for advertising dollars, they could say, and we know it works because we have this data, kind of thing. Yeah, that's good food for thought to think about how we help further support beyond just the scope of this time period. Other thoughts, questions, concerns, or things that you would like me to know? All right, so we'll continue to work with Amy and the team. Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have feedback, if there's things that you want, things that you need. Don't feel like it's selfish. Like, I don't feel like, oh, well, I don't want to dominate, or I don't want we need information. We want, involvement and engagement. So, if you're asking for too much, we'll tell you, but chances are you're not, right? Like, you are the stories, you are the faces of downtown East Lansing. And so the more that we can connect with you and tell those stories and know what those stories are, like knowing, Mike, how you feel about people that are complying and that you want them to know that you appreciate them. Like, that's a story we want to be able to tell. And so like those kinds of things, like never feel like you're dominating the conversation, please, because we want and need that. Knowing that, like, I know that Jesse is a destination, right? Because I'm a knitter. And so like I got my knitting. I definitely bought enough for 2 sweaters last year. That was my like COVID impulse buy, was 2 sweaters worth of very expensive yarn. And I've never even knit 1 sweater, let alone 2, but that was, we all were driven to make weird decisions at that time. So, I just think any of your stories that you have that you can tell, that's what's going to be at the heart of this. So, yeah, so please feel free to reach out, and then also know that I will be bothering you to try to get those. So, all right. Appreciate the time, everyone. Thank you. Amy, let me know if there's anything else you need from us.
Great. Thank you, Kate. Thank you very much. And I think all of you board members have Kate's contact info, but if you don't after this, I can send it out to everybody so that you can be in contact with her directly as well. All right. So I am going to take back over the screen. Can everybody see the agenda packet again? Yeah, okay. All right, so we will keep all of that in mind. And as Kate mentioned, if there are things that you guys think about, strategies, certain stories that you're willing to tell, please feel free to email me, and I will also forward those on to Kate. So it's really whatever is easiest for all of you. Okay.
Perfect. All right, 4.2, it's the Great Pumpkin Photo Contest.
Okay. So I know at the last board meeting, we had a lot of, 2 board meetings ago, beginning of September, we had some discussions about, what was appropriate for Halloween, what might we be looking at? And I wanted to first follow up with kind of what we had heard from Ingham County Health Department, and then kind of share what staff is recommending at this time. So I think that since our last meeting, we saw a lot happen. We saw some certain sorority fraternity houses quarantined. We've seen some emergency orders been put into place. Here is my understanding of quarantine necessities. So if, if an individual was to come into a business and later test positive and have stayed with that store owner or business from like that individual within 6 feet for 15 minutes collectively, so maybe 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there, then, that is a situation where that store owner, that individual would also be quarantined. Kind of learning that information and knowing that, to be frank with you, I think at this point, it's very much staff's recommendation that we just try to host a virtual event, which is what we have before you today, because I know that we had a lot of discussion about, if you're a store owner and there's only 1 or 2 of you, I don't think that there, we certainly don't want to risk some quarantine. I am hoping, obviously, that might change, might shift in ideology, but that is the guidance that we have received.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So if let's pretend I go into hypothetical building A. Okay, right? And you're selling me something and I am within 6 feet of you for 15 minutes collectively. So maybe I'm with you for 5 minutes and then I come back to the store for another 10 minutes and we're talking, but we're within 6 feet of each other. No matter if it's a store owner, no matter if I'm conducting a training with an intern, whatever the situation is, if you are with a person that tests positive for COVID for 15 minutes collectively in one day, you are quarantined. FYI. So that is the current regulations. So that's the situation. Because I know that there's been a lot of discussion about, oh, is it 15 minutes consistently? And I've talked with a couple sources, it's 15 minutes collectively. Obviously, for an event, you know, people would be in and out and fast, but it is really my strong recommendation that right now we do something virtual and then maybe we reconsider some smaller events or something around the holidays. So that's my recommendation. In terms of kind of what we're thinking about, I know we had talked about a photo contest last time. So our recommendation would be that we kind of run it like we do the other City of East Lansing photo contests. So there's one other one that we've done in the past. This one could really be where, you know, people could upload maybe up to 5 photos. The intent is that we could feature like the pumpkin, right? Because we're used to our Great Pumpkin event, but some sort of pumpkin. Essentially, you could upload some photos into our East Lansing webpage. And I think that the thought process is that we would give away parking vouchers because, you know, that's kind of what we have readily available. We could discuss purchasing parking, you know, or I'm sorry, gift cards at other businesses. It's just kind of an equity issue. So I don't know how the board, you know, might feel about that. So for sort of equity across the board, we thought that maybe we would do like first place could get like $300 in parking vouchers, second place could get $200 in parking vouchers, third place would get like $100 in parking vouchers. And what we could do is essentially like give them a stack, right? And say like, you know, here, it's like $1 each time. So they don't have to like use obviously like the full amount at once. We kind of thought as staff that maybe first place they could try to come downtown and do something cute. Maybe we even have a little staged area if you wanted to do that. You know, second place, it could be at their houses or wherever they want to be. And then third place as well, kind of anywhere. But I think that we're really hoping that, you know, they would be dressed up, they would be in costume, and then maybe we give some awards the honorable mention. We did have our graphic designer kind of do up a couple of different mock-ups of looks. I know they're all pretty similar, but if you have a strong opinion of one or another, they are all here. And then obviously scoring, how would this work? So I would be looking for volunteer board members to maybe help us score them. We thought that if the board was agreed with us, we can maybe launch next week, have it run through Halloween, have everything, have all the submissions submitted by November 1st. So basically, you know, begin October 12th, have it run through November 1st. In terms of, you know, categories, maybe we do like the use of themes, like the presence of the pumpkins, were there costumes, you know, this can certainly be edited, like creativity, subjects posing, and then maybe like extra points if it's like East Lansing focused or there's EL in the, you know, in the prop or something like that. So that is the current proposal. I know that at the last board meeting you had approved up to, I believe, $2,000 towards an activity like this. At this time, this would be the proposed budget. It could be obviously all of the winners' prizes. And then we thought that maybe some printed flyers and maybe doing some social media ads. So Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. So you would be looking at a total budget of about $1,400. So I think that we're really kind of initially already approved this budget or up to $2,000. I think that we're really kind of looking up for like a thumbs up or thumbs down on concept. And if it's thumbs down, then maybe, you know, tell us what you would like because we'll obviously need to implement it quickly. So. Thoughts?
I have a question. Has the city or county or anybody like canceled trick-or-treating or anything like that?
Yeah, good question.
That could potentially happen.
So I have in my, I'm going to be really frank with you guys. I have in my inbox a draft press release that essentially says the following, that, you know, in all likelihood, city events like Great Pumpkin Walk, for example, are canceled if we're all behind that. And then that the city of East Lansing is not canceling trick-or-treating. but it lays out CDC recommended guidelines for things like, perhaps if you only want your kids to go in within your neighborhood, right? You limit the area that they have access to, that the kids have a table, like you put a table between yourself and the trick-or-treaters that maybe is like 6 feet, but like creates that distance. Or that maybe some people like put some TV trays out like towards the end of their driveways and they, you know what I mean, people use candy. So it lists recommendations, but my understanding, Mike, is that we, at this point, city council is not canceling, if you will, like trick-or-treating hours. They're going to roll with that, but that there are, at this point, no city sanctioned Halloween events. So nothing downtown, nothing at Hannah Community Center, nothing of that nature.
So maybe, I don't know, it sounds super. Maybe just the first place winner seems like a high number, maybe award a couple more places and adjust the numbers a little bit. Don't know if anybody else, that's kind of nitpicking.
Less money?
Yeah, just lower the first place to, I don't know, 250 or 2 and
Okay.
Just get more people involved that win prizes. Maybe, I don't know what other people think. That's a small item, small point on a good program.
No, I agree. I mean, I think, we asked you guys to come up with something virtual that would engage people and allow them to kind of do something. I think this makes sense. And from what you guys show, the mock-ups look good, and kind of what we'd expect. I'm with Jim. I mean, wanting to encourage, more opportunity for more people to kind of, feel like they got something out of it or won something. I don't know if there's an opportunity for a lower cost, like keeping the structure the same or doing what Jim said, like adding in another winner, but then having like a participation type item that, if you participate, the first 50 submissions or something, get something, but I don't know what that would be, but I'm thinking something again to incentivize people to shop downtown in some way, some fashion.
What if it was like a coupon page or something? Do you think businesses would, if they sent us coupons and we said like we want them 2 by 3,
something like that, where maybe we just are able to, if the first 50 submissions gets $20 to, assorted restaurants or, assorted, retail downtown or something, like if there was something like that we could do, maybe that's like a low enough cost that the businesses are willing to kind of donate to, get, people downtown, incentivize them to engage. I don't know if that will work 100% obviously, but if it's a small enough coupon per place, I mean, they'll make something on an additional sale and brings one more person downtown, maybe that wasn't there before, that now is comfortable coming down for the second meal or the second shopping trip. So that would be my other piece, but it would, I'd be looking for something cost effective as well. That's not adding another $500 to the pot or anything, but
sure.
If the businesses want to engage in it, maybe that's something we do. But I've seen a lot of chatter on like the neighborhood website, the neighborhood chat, at least in Glen, but I think across the multiple neighborhoods, just about people wondering what's happening with like trick or treating, and what's happening, what are people doing, and what's downtown doing. So I think getting something out sooner rather than later and allowing people to get started on engaging would be good, so that people with kids can still feel like they can engage them in something in their community. So I think otherwise it looked good to me.
How easy is it supposed to be or is it going to be to upload a photo to that URL?
I have not tried it yet, but my understanding is it should be pretty simple. Like you just, it would just be like, for example, I email myself the photos from my iPhone or I would just save them on my computer, right? And then you just upload them. That's my understanding. It's a simple upload process.
Would it be worth doing like a hashtag for something for Instagram or for
sure
Facebook or
like,
I don't know,
hashtag
like something if
great pumpkin photo or something,
whatever you can put on the flyer to make it super simple so that they don't have to take too many steps to do something, because I think they'll lose interest if it's too difficult.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like because a lot of photo contests don't necessarily involve uploading to a specific thing. It's like enter by posting this picture on your social media with hashtag this and tag downtown, whatever our handle is, downtown EL or whatever, in your picture, which also may drive more traffic to our social media. But that's just an idea. that they could enter that way.
I think that also be a good idea. Maybe, I don't know, hashtag EL Great Pumpkin Walk or whatever, or tag East Lansing. I think that would make it a little, and then other people would see it, you know, it can kind of
Like
travel.
self-advertising.
Yeah.
Like tag East Lansing.
You would tag our handle, so they would make the post,
Okay.
and it would tag our, I think it's at downtown EL, I think.
Okay.
So
you
it says
have
like,
tag our
so I would
at
upload a
downtown.
picture of Oakley in her costume, and I would
Yeah.
be like, Oakley's blah, blah, blah for the at downtown EL hashtag Halloween costume contest 2020, or whatever we would make the hashtag. And so if you do the tag and the hashtag, that's how you enter.
We may
And then-
want to, sorry.
You
We may
finish.
want to do both options though, because
Yeah.
the privacy settings, that's always an issue for contests, is like people don't know how to turn off their privacy settings and you can't even see the picture.
Which is what we found, yeah, about a year ago when we did like the EL Buzz stuff, or 2 years ago. Okay, I can find out about that. So the reason we've done it this way is if we want to use their photos this way, basically we, well, let me think about this. It would be okay this way, but then the winners, we would have them sign a waiver in case we wanted to use their stuff in like promotional materials. But yeah, I think to enter, this is perfectly fine. But the winners.
I think that you can also in the give, if whatever you post, obviously maybe the city attorney is different, but in terms of taking pictures off of social media, you can put it in the posting on your social media or whatever. If you enter via social media with these hashtags, you're approving the use of pictures in our advertisements for this. That's generally how I've seen and how I've participated in contests similar type thing via social media. I just think we definitely should have a social media entry option, because that's how it can go more viral.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely.
Are we sure we want to do like full parking vouchers for the prizes though? Not like, you know, for like $300 in parking vouchers is like a lot of parking vouchers. Like what if we did like, you know, $100 in parking vouchers and $50, you know, cash to, you know, go out to dinner with or something like that. I mean, we don't have to do a gift card or anything, and be kind of well-meaning cash, but I wonder, you know, if that's going to be attractive enough. And it's kind of like, what do you do with $300 in parking vouchers, you know?
Yeah. I think cash would be fine. I want to triple check with our city attorney, but as long as they they're gonna have to fill out like a W-9 and to basically like, you know what I mean, say who they are so that we can make a check out to them. But we've done it before with businesses, right? We've done like a holiday window contest and given it to businesses before, but I think
I'd like to hear other people's opinion on that.
what do other people think of cash giveaway plus lowering parking validations?
Yeah, I think $300 of parking is a shit ton
I
of
agree.
parking. And I don't know that anybody will ever use that, but
Yeah, I agree. $300. I don't know how I would ever use that unless I like worked downtown and didn't have a parking lot. But here's an idea. Simply because we're a small enough city that it might, I mean, this could be totally crazy, but to kind of go along with the concept of having like a general gift card for downtown East Lansing, what if instead of giving them cash, it was like, I guess we'd have to get all the businesses approval for this, but we could get a list of businesses that would approve it to take a gift card that we give them. We could give them like, if it's $300, we could give them like $6 $50 East Lansing gift cards. And then those businesses can contact you or whoever, and then the city pays the business directly back for that gift card for the services rendered. Does that make sense? Like you would give, say, and you could have a list of participating businesses if we wanted to do it that way instead of like generically, because businesses would have to approve. But say it says like Sundance Jewelers, Crunchies, Buffalo, whatever this list is, this is $50 good at any of these places on these gift cards. And then I go and I win and I go take my $50. There's no cash back. So it's whatever. If I spend $40, I get nothing back. But then that business takes the $50 gift card and they contact you, and then the city pays them directly. I don't know if that's too complicated, but it was just an idea.
I feel like that's getting a little bit complicated for the amount of time that we have. Like I feel like there's always a little bit of a loss when it comes to these contests. Like I know we want to keep all of the money down here, but I don't think it's going to be physically possible. Like I feel like kind of I don't know, with the intent, like, maybe it comes with a note. It's like, here's, 50 or $100 to spend at your favorite restaurant in East Lansing. And we can't guarantee that, but it might make them think about using it towards that, or, make them feel bad about using it towards something else. I mean, I think there's just only so much we can do about making them spend it.
We could provide like a guide of our city guide with the money. If we did cash,
right. Like our visitor's guide. That's what I would say. Maybe we try to like give a cue and say like, this is provided you by the downtown East Lansing, by downtown East Lansing. We're really hoping that you support our downtown businesses. Here's a full list of the businesses. That's what I recommend, given the time period right now. And then we can heavily look into like a gift card program again. The marketing committee.
Seems about right.
So to be clear, you're not actually handing them cash. You'd be handing them like a Visa gift card or something like that, or are you actually going to hand them cash?
We could not hand them cash. That's a given. We would either have to issue them a check, like they would have to fill out paperwork for the city and like probably fill out sort of like a W-9, if you will, identifying themselves, and we issue them a check. Or yes, we could give them a prepaid Visa if you guys want to go that route. That would be fine too.
That seems a lot more simple.
The prepaid Visa.
I would go the prepaid Visa.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely that. Because they were like, you need to come down and fill out a W-9, and I'm like, does this affect my taxes? Like, what? I don't need your $100. Like, if it's too hard,
Okay. So instead, I think that this is great feedback. So instead, it would be prepaid visas at a certain level, and then for like first, second, and third place. Do you guys still want some parking vouchers too? Like, do you want me to?
Yeah, I think every single one of them should come with like $25 in parking.
Okay.
Like $25 seems reasonable, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like with a lot of the pickups, and even if you stay downtown a little bit, like you rarely spend like that much in parking.
Yeah. So like 8 honorable mentions could do the parking vouchers. Are you thinking like third place? Do we do like $25 in parking vouchers? And then do you want me to up it? Do you want like 75 Visa gift card, or do you want like, you see what I'm asking you guys? Do you want me to keep it at $100,
I think you keep
$200, but turn that into Visa?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then give them a $25 parking voucher in addition.
Perfect. Okay.
Right. So like keep the 300, 200, 100, and then add a $25 gift card. $25 parking voucher each one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think, that is, I think, a great idea.
Okay.
Should we put in there that like what $25 in like parking may get you like per hour, like, cause I think if you said like, this is this many hours of parking, like that's the other thing that I'm thinking of. That's a lot of hours of parking.
Yeah.
And they may think like, in a $25, parking voucher, but it's like, oh, that's, whatever. It might end up being 30 hours.
Right.
I have no idea, but
what if
a lot.
Chanel like typed out a letter from the DMB or from the downtown businesses to the winners?
Yeah, draft something and say like, we're glad that you're here. Thanks for participating.
I feel like we could detail. Yeah, we could detail a lot of those things, in that that we want to get across, with it being like a meaningful.
I think that's a great idea, because it would kind of, for me, if I received that, like if I won and then I received that letter, I would feel gracefully guilted, right? Into like, I hope that I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go downtown. Like they did me a solid, I won. I'm gonna go grab takeout or, you know, go shopping for half an hour. Yeah, I think those are great ideas. Okay. So we're gonna buy prepaid Visa cards, and to take on to that, like, you know, a lot of them have like the $5 activation fees. You guys are fine with me paying for those. So we'll buy the visas, we'll do the activation fees, and then we will add the parking vouchers in each one. Okay, and we're gonna add a submission process where people can also submit on social media, they don't necessarily just have to upload. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. So I will keep you updated. So my assumption is the budget might increase a little bit, but it's still not going to exceed $2,000. We'll let you know when it launches. And so it sounds to me like everybody is on board. So I just want to circle back to this. So everybody is comfortable if in the press release that goes out later this week, we say that the Great Pumpkin Walk is officially canceled, and maybe just say that like we're going to have something, you know, this new costume contest launching soon, and check back here. Is that okay with everybody? And it'll give.
Can we use words like in lieu of instead of canceled?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sounds like a plan, guys. All right, well, moving right along. So I know that we're talking Halloween, but it's never too early to talk about the holidays. So I'm touching base because Shine Lighting actually reached out to me last week. And if you guys, I think all of you have been on the board now to be aware that we have in the past partnered with Shine Lighting to install holiday decorations downtown. So we currently have garland and the big red bows that are put on lampposts along Grand River, MAC, Division, and Charles. In addition, we own white lights that are installed in Sharp Park and the 500 block alleyway. So in our budget this year, we budgeted $9,000 this fiscal year towards installation of everything, and for Shine to continue to store all of the holiday decorations we own. So if we were to proceed forward, it is the same quotation that they gave us last year. It would be $8,529.62. That includes installation and removal. So I would recommend, if we do decide to move forward, that we continue to work with Shine Lighting, and that we essentially perhaps ask them to install it between, like, closer to Thanksgiving is what I was thinking, perhaps the week before Thanksgiving. And that's really why I'm reaching out, because if we want them to install right before Thanksgiving, probably getting on the list now is good, because in years past, we've tried to approach them pretty early. This is the draft professional services agreement we've entered into the last couple of years. Now, I do have the caveat of we just have a brand new city attorney's office. So, I will need to get their approval for this verbiage before we execute anything. And I also wanted to touch base, because I know we've had some discussion in the past about, do we want to, expand anything or change anything? The one thing I wanted to let you know is that it is my understanding that there are some other city divisions, and particularly like Adam Cummins is really looking at kind of doing like a little light show off of the Marriott, kind of over one of the sidewalls is my understanding. I think we're like the Globe is kind of over by Buffalo Wild Wings, but kind of doing like a light show over the holidays. I don't think that our white lights would certainly interfere with any of that. I don't think necessarily it would clash, but I did want you to know that that's something else that I am aware of. So really just kind of wanted to bring this to your attention. I will certainly keep you updated as we know more, but I wanted to kind of bring this to you for consideration of approval, and maybe even a motion to fund this so that I can move forward if the board wishes to.
To fund lighting.
Weren't we, how does anybody feel about, like, do we have some extra funds to up this at all? Just like for this year?
I mean,
it wouldn't just be for this year, correct? If we're purchasing more lighting, and it's an investment into more, correct?
That would be correct. If you decide to do more and it's light based, right? Like the lights, then yes, you would be purchasing them. You would own them. You own everything. The DMB and the DDA together purchased the garland and bows, but the DDA kind of made the agreement with the DMB that those are ours. So right now, the wreaths, the white lights, and the garland is the DMB's property. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of, would you want them to put up that many the next year? The one thing I want to kind of remind everybody, and I know that this is a little ridiculous, but bear in mind, is that the lamp posts do not have an extra electrical outlet. So what that means is we can't wrap lights around the lamp posts. I know that's nuts. We can, potentially look at other things, which is why we pick like Sharp Park, because there's like electrical outlet there, and the 500 block alleyway, because there's like, public outlets, but we just need to think about outlets.
Are there not solar light strings at this point in technology?
I have heard that there are some. We can look into that.
There definitely are.
Yeah, I think,
but
I don't know
Yeah,
how industrial they are, but we can certainly look into them.
I mean, it's not like these are getting any more wear and tear than like being on someone's house. Like,
Right.
I don't think. But so I guess for the sake of time, I would love to investigate more light options, whether that's solar lights for the light posts, because I think it'd be really great if we could have lights around the light posts. And if not, extra lighting, but also I would like to approve this so we can get it going, because I'd rather like add lights. I'm sure we can amend our agreement with them to include more lighting, but I would like to get on their list to be earlier rather than later. Is that possible to do it that way?
Second.
Okay. So the motion is to enter into a contract agreement with Shine Lighting, not to exceed 8,600 at this time, and I will do a roll call vote. Crouch,
Yes.
Houston. I know he seconded it, so I think he's fine. Justin, are you there? Kroom,
Yes.
Yonkis,
yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
All right. Okay, that motion,
Justin is yes, sorry.
perfect. No, that's okay. Okay.
So
Hey,
yeah,
Amy,
I
could-
would like to I don't know, should we discuss like a number of how much more we would like to invest quickly? Potentially
Sure,
invest,
for
I guess.
staff. Yeah,
Yeah.
in case you want us to like kind of investigate it. So
Yeah.
your budget to date, let me pull this up quickly for you. Okay, so you all have, you've essentially allocated $15,000, right? Or encumbered, reserved $15,000 of your $76,170 budget. What I will kind of bring to your attention is, right, so we obviously, if you kind of look at under the salmon colored line item, those are annual events that you generally sponsor. But, there's pretty open, I guess I would say, budget right now in terms of like DMB event support, visitors guides, wayfinding. So I think, you certainly have a couple $1,000s in funds easily that you could access if that's of interest to the board.
I guess I'm curious, if we did purchase a couple $1,000s of lights, how much would that be going forward to put those extra lights up, and how would that affect our budget next year?
From Shine.
Mm-hmm. Particularly solar powered
And
lights.
could we get an estimate on how much it would cost to fix these light posts? And then maybe that's something the DDA would do.
They're
Mike,
about on Amazon $16 for a 2-pack of 33 feet. So I don't know how many lamp posts we have, but that's for like the rope lights if you were to sort of wrap them around with the garland. But I don't know if that's what we would really want or not. But
Those are
it seemed to be
solar.
relatively inexpensive. Yeah, solar, correct.
yeah,
Okay. So I'm not so much concerned about future installation costs, because I feel like we're pretty resourceful every year in trying to arrange our funds so that it works best. So I don't want to like not do it because we're afraid maybe we don't hang extra lights next year if we became into like a situation where we wouldn't be able to afford it if that were be the case, but I would just err on the side of like having them and not using than wanting and not having. So I would say, I don't know how much, I think it'd be interesting to know how much it would cost to light a pole. I feel like it can't cost them that much because it cannot take that much time. It's not like stringing a building, which you're climbing all over the place, or, you know, an alleyway, which probably takes multiple people. So I would assume it can't take that much per pole. Granted, there may be a lot, but I would be comfortable with, like, you know,
I can pull that.
$2,000 or $3,000 to start with, if that seems reasonable. And if it's way under, then great. If it's over, then still discuss it. I don't know.
I like more lights as long as we prioritize, not as long as, but I hope we would prioritize those poles. I think that's a good idea.
And by poles, are you guys thinking the shorter historic ones, or are you thinking the tall ones? So there's both in the downtown. There's like the King Standards that are shorter, and then the, you know, the really tall ones along Grand River. Do you have a preference? Like, would you guys like me to say to Shine Lighting, like, let's start with the shorter ones along like MAC and Division and Charles?
I would prefer to have it be more for the people to drive them into the city area versus on the street where everybody drives. But that's my personal opinion. I just want it to feel more like a community within to pull people in. And once they get in, they venture further, but it's to get them in that I think is the key.
Okay. So it's the ones along Grand River that we would prioritize.
It's more Albert, right?
No, Albert, to light the ones inside. And then if we can move to the outside.
I see. Okay, so it's the opposite. So you want Albert, Chanel?
Yes.
Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes, I want it to feel like a community inside and then move outward to the road.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful because then I can, you know, get better estimates. So
but if it's feasible to do all of them, I'm not opposed. I guess I just have no idea the cost. So.
Right, I can work with them on a quote.
And Valley Court.
And Valley Court.
That too, yeah.
Do you want to, are we going to?
Anywhere.
Okay. The trees, okay.
Just, I guess, more or less figure out what, like how, the general idea of how much it costs to add that type of a thing. And then we can figure out, I guess, the scale.
Right. So if you wanted to approve, like if you want to give me an initial budget or consider a motion of approval, but let's say $3,000, then what I can do is try to work with Shine quickly, maybe even get some estimates back for the marketing meeting or business relations meeting later this month. And you guys can kind of finite say this is what we're going to do, if that's agreeable to everybody.
How does everybody feel about that? Okay.
Real quick.
Yes.
Has anybody seen like solar lights in action other than like the little ones that people put in their gardens that barely look like they're lit up most of the time? Just don't want to throw, you know, good money at bad product, I guess. I don't
agree.
know.
Yes.
I feel like perhaps a proof of concept area where we invest a small amount of money and do a few polls and see how it works.
I'm happy to purchase an Amazon light right now for $16 and plug it in outside my house and see what it looks like in the middle of the night, if y'all would like.
I mean, is that really what they're gonna use though? Like,
I mean, we can see, I have no idea.
I would hope not. Like, I'd hope they'd have some like higher quality lighting, right?
I'm sure it's some sort of industrial grade.
Yeah, like I'm sure they can give us feedback on it too, right?
Right.
Like, I don't think we need like the fanciest, but like one that works good.
So do they like guarantee our lights, like the lights that we buy through them, they'll replace them?
Yes, and if we had a problem a year ago where some strands were not working, and so yes, they replace them when they're done. Yes.
Wow, that's great.
Basically, it's every 3 years, like they do an analysis. They usually say, and I think we bought a couple extras last year because they basically they guarantee it for 3 years, and they say like that's the life of them, because you know when they're outside in the winter they take a beating. So for 3 years, they guarantee, and after that we buy some more, which is what we did last year. So. Okay, so is there consideration of a motion for an additional allocation of funds? And what dollar amount is that?
Amy, was there a suggested dollar amount on the agenda?
So you guys approved, right now you approve the annual amount of 8,600, but I think Chanel was talking about maybe an additional 2,000 to 3,000 to look into the solar lights concept, is what I was initially hearing.
Which includes lights and installation from Shine, like $2,000 or something. I don't know.
And what's our, sorry, I've been like working and listening at the same time. What's our overall unallocated budget right now?
Yeah, so it is, I would say off the top of my head, given like your DDA dollar amount and stuff, I would say at least $10,000 is not like specifically allocated towards programming right now for this fiscal year. Yeah.
I think this is a good year to sink a little bit more into holiday decorations, just in terms of like making downtown feel inviting. I'd be comfortable with an additional 2,000. I'm not sure if we want to spend that entire amount on solar lighting since we haven't figured out exactly the best way to make that work yet, but I think increasing the decorations budget is a good idea. So
Yeah, I think it would be if solar lighting to do those, to do those posts would be ideal, and if not, it would be other.
okay, so an additional $2,000 potentially for solar lighting, but not dedicated to solar lighting specifically. Okay, can I just say that I move that?
Sure.
Is that
Up.
the awkward motion?
I'll come up with a good motion. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
To promote holiday decorations and lighting.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
I think yeah, seconded.
Okay. I will do a roll call vote. Crouch.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Kroom.
Yes.
Yonkis.
Yes.
Kruger.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yes.
And Ray is listening and also text me yes. So just so everybody knows. Okay. So quickly, the very last item that I wanted to share with you was consideration of, and I'm trying to bring it up on my screen here, consideration of sponsorship for the Creative Placemaking Summit. I know that you guys have heard about this a little bit in the past, but this is occurring virtually this year. I can tell you that the organizers are also reaching out to the Downtown Development Authority as well for some sort of sponsorship. I can tell you that as staff, we are going to try really hard to, be present at the event if possible, and we'd encourage each of you, if you're available, to also attend the event. And I am trying to pull it up right now. So possible sponsorship levels really start at $500 and kind of work their way on up. And
Amy, can I make one note in addition to that?
yeah, absolutely.
The registration fee for that has been waived this year, so it's open registration for anybody who wants to attend. So it's kind of an opportunity if anybody was ever tempted by that before. It was a fairly hefty registration fee. So in addition to, I am in support of us sponsoring it to some, whatever's affordable within our budget, but I'd also encourage other people on this board who are interested in placemaking to check out the agenda. And if there's anything that you're interested in, just throw a registration at it, since there's no fee this year. So I will be trying to attend as many virtual sessions as I can. So I'll be there. But.
Perfect. So it's actually a week from today. It's the 14th.
Yes.
I think some of you had been to this a couple of years ago, but essentially it kind of just brings together various economic development, artisan business groups, people from various backgrounds to kind of discuss placemaking throughout our community. So on your screen are the various sponsorship levels. At a $500 sponsorship, for example, we could place our logo and have a link on the placemaking webpage. We would have digital platform recognition, have placement in a press release and a video thank you acknowledgement at the event. Given your current budget, I might recommend a sponsorship level of $500 at this time. But
500 is the amount I'm comfortable with as well.
But I wanted to bring it to you because this was presented to me yesterday, and I said that I would bring it to you today for consideration. So. I think you're all reading it, so I'm going to let you read it.
Are we looking for a motion, Amy?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move sponsorship at the $500 level.
Is there a second? I think they're all thinking. And I can go to this other page if you'd like.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. And I can move to this other page too if folks want to see it. Okay, I will conduct a roll call vote then. Crouch.
Sure. Yeah.
Houston.
Yes.
Justin still on.
Yes.
Mr. Krum. He might have left us for a minute. Ms. Yonkis.
Yes.
Mr. Kruger.
Yes.
And Ms. Gregg.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Okay, they will be thrilled. I am sure of it. Okay. Let me make sure I've got the right. Okay, so that that really leads us into our committee updates. We did not meet obviously for marketing or business relations because we had the special board meeting with the public relations firm. So there's no updates for that. Caleb also extends his apologies. He had another meeting at this time, but he did want you to know that I know at the last board meeting you had requested some count information for this time. Parking is actually conducting counts as we speak today. So he hopes at the next board meeting to be able to show you sort of apples to apples comparisons of where we are now versus where we were a year ago. So he is going to be prepared to share that information with you guys next month. And I guess I can roll if people would like into development updates. So, Center City, is in pretty good shape. I have still not heard a firm opening date yet for Jolly Pumpkin. My understanding is they're going to do a soft rollout. But I stay tuned. I kind of keep looking in the windows as well. So I think that can be any day now. Park District continues to, move along. They are working through the details of having Walgreens be on the first floor location. And they have applied for, I think it's called an SBX license so that they could sell packaged alcohol. And then in terms of the MSU FCU building, so the city is working out the final details in terms of the site plan. Basically just kind of like the final details from a legal perspective. In the perfect world, the closing documents for the entire site would be done in the next few weeks. They would close in November, and then they would break ground in early 2021. So we will certainly keep you updated about that. Are there any questions for those? Okay.
The liaison report.
I could do it. What do we do? I think we tabled, there was a consideration of an application to modify the site plan next door here at the gateway because they want to put apartments on the bottom floor rather than retail space. And I think we tabled that pending planning commission hearing. So I'm not quite sure where that's at. We did agree to enter into an agreement with Foster, Swift, Collins & Smith to provide legal services for the DDA. What else? We allocated some more money to the Stay Safe, Stay Open campaign. Kind of going through the agenda here. We approved a little bit of money to do some more concrete pads in the park, the Sharp Park area for bike parking. I know that the city has wanted to do a much larger area, but we approved a much smaller area just because we didn't want to take away from the park. Entered into a property management agreement for 314 Evergreen, and then I believe we approved some funding for tree planting downtown as well. So, essentially, pretty much it, I believe. Jim?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, the trees were donated by one of the developers. All we have to do is pay to plant them, and they're high quality trees. And so, yeah, that's about it. That's what we covered.
Alrighty. I have just a quick question for Amy. Is Adam still looking into the concept of like the winter best putt thing?
He is. In fact, we are discussing it more detailed at a staff level this Thursday. There's a meeting with myself and Adam and Heather Pope, I think a lot of you are probably familiar with, and Tom Fehrenbach, looking at various funding resources, kind of looking at concepts. There are various locations we've been looking at, everything from, you know, exterior locations like outside of the Marriott Hotel to maybe even utilizing like some lower spaces of parking garages also. I think that people are really interested in being creative. So yes, I think that that is probably something that you guys will probably hear a lot more about next month if it's determined that we can get, you know, both funding sources in place and then just the logistics set up. But
yeah, I would definitely, if that continues to move forward, definitely like to make time on the agenda to kind of discuss how that works for the businesses in downtown East Lansing.
Absolutely. I'll ask Adam to share more updates with you guys.
All right, perfect. I think we're ready to adjourn.
Okay. We need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second.
Okay. I will do a roll call vote. Crouch.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Kroon.
Yes.
Yonkis. Not sure if she's there. Kruger.
Yep.
And Greg.
Yes.
You had a little bounce in your step, all of you, when I said we were about to adjourn. I think you just.
I know. Sorry, it was a long meeting.
Still of me today. It's okay though. No, I think it was really great discussion. And again, as you know, you think about ideas for partnership with Piper and Gold, please keep me apprised. And thank you everyone, as usual, for all of your dedication to the committee. We really appreciate it. So
Thanks.
thanks all. Marketing committee will be next Tuesday, so you can expect to receive invitations from me for that. Okay. Thanks guys. Have a great afternoon.
Nice to see you all today.
You too.
Bye all.